Welcome to Conversations with Ann Elizabeth, the podcast inspired by my book, I'm a Registered Dietitian, Now What? Where I have the absolute joy to sit back, relax, and have a conversation about nutrition with a variety of people who share their personal story of passion and purpose, especially registered dietitians. Today's conversation is with a woman who gets me excited to cook, try new things in the kitchen, makes me laugh, has 4 kids, and is very passionate about having a lot of color on her plate, my friend and chef, Stacey Wertzberger. Today's episode is sponsored by Dahlman's Stroopwafels, my absolute favorite waffle cone caramel goodness in a cookie. They do not use any artificial aromas or colors or use any preservatives in their delicious baked goods. Go to Stroopwafels by Dahlman's, and that's STROOPWAFELS by DAELMANS.com to learn more or to order some of your very own. And if you haven't tried them, you are missing out for sure. Stacey and I started working together almost 10 years ago, and we have collaborated on many cooking and nutrition projects. Some of these have been at work and some of them have been outside of work as we have become friends over the years. Stacey has a realistic and down-to-earth outlook on food and cooking, which applies to how she prepares food in all aspects of her life. Stacey has taught me a lot about food, but especially has changed my feelings about cooking, that it doesn't have to be complicated. In our conversation today, we talk food, cooking, kids, and how she decided to try a new adventure, completing her first Ironman. Please enjoy my conversation with Stacey. I think it's fun because you and I talk so much about food. I mean, we talk about other things too. We're friends, but we talk a lot about food.
Yes.
It's common interest between us both.
Yes. But we like food.
And we were just talking about your mom, how she is like baking queen of the world.
Yes.
So you've always kind of had food in your blood or cooking?
Yeah, but I never baked or I never cooked because my mom was such a good cook. And so everybody thinks that, oh, you probably started because your mom's such a good cook. And I go, well, no, it didn't start because she was a good cook. Like, there was no reason to start. But when I was younger, she was the queen of many jobs. And one of her jobs was she had a catering business. And so occasionally she'd ask us for our help. And so some of the times was, oh, I have 500 meatballs, so I'm going to make up the mixture, and can you guys ball these up? Those are not fun jobs for children. And those, even though it gets you the hands-on, I think we were just almost not excited to help in the kitchen. Because of that. Right. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't think to this day none of my sisters or I even make meatballs because of that. Or she would make caramels and then we would wrap them. Oh. So she would make the caramels because they were delicious and perfect and don't screw them up. And then we would cut them and wrap them. And I do not make caramels either. And I don't think my sisters have ever attempted them because first off, it's mom's thing. And then you actually have to wrap them.
That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
And 500 meatballs?
Yeah.
Did she make meatballs a lot for her catering? Obviously.
I mean, it was one of those catering for a crowd. Yeah. It's just, it can be fancy and it can be comforting at the same time.
You guys were cheap labor. That's awesome.
I know.
She's like, I got these little girls at home. They can help me.
That's, even though I was exposed, that was not how I started.
So minus that, how long did your mom do her catering business then?
Oh, well, she started cleaning houses, and then my mom is the type that she bakes stuff for people, and then she just gives it away. And so she would bring people bars or banana bread or things that she had baked. And so these people that she was cleaning for, then they're like, oh, well, I'm having a party. Linda, can you do this catering? She's like, oh, okay. I think that's where I got my sure, why not attitude. And so that's kind of...
So it was kind of a variety of ways. So she worked and then she would bake things because people loved her food.
Yeah.
And then she would run away.
Yep. And then she, I believe how it kind of ended, unfortunately, was she got sick and the doctor said, stop working all these jobs, pick 2. And so that's where it kind of stopped. But like her baking, her love for baking and stuff like that is still happening.
Well, I'm not going to lie, because I love when you have get-togethers and your mom's going to be there, because I know that there's going to be like bars and cookies and something amazing.
As many desserts as there are sides.
Snack mix or whatever. It's like pure heaven. So, yeah. So minus your mom. So when did you so that was probably all through childhood that you kind of helped your mom with that and then kind of didn't really cook all that much?
I remember in Girl Scouts that I had to get a cooking patch, and the first thing I ever cooked was spaghetti, and I put so much garlic salt on the garlic bread, and my dad was very kind and was like, oh, it's okay, Stacey.
As he's peeling off the top.
As you like shake off the garlic salt. But yeah, it was spaghetti, jar sauce, and canned green beans and garlic bread, and that was like to get the patch. And I think that was maybe, it sounds like it should be young, but I think it was probably 6th grade or 7th grade or something like that. Anyways, that was my first and probably only cooking that I remember in the kitchen.
I would love that.
Except, like maybe throwing in some eggs or sugar or something like that. Yeah.
Throwing some cheese on it.
Licking the batter. That was just my job.
Like, I got it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started, my cooking story all started from, so I was going home from college on the one summer after freshman year, and I was looking for a job, and I am from Spencer, so I went up to the lakes because that's like a big fun thing that everybody wants to work in Okoboji, because that's like where the people are and where your friends are at, and fun and sun and the atmosphere in the summer. So I went in the little want ads and drove around one time and was like, okay, they're hiring. And there was one place that I stopped at, and they were looking for a bartender.
Nice.
Okay, so I was like, 18 years old, and I was like, well, I like to drink, so
this will be perfect.
So I could probably be a bartender. And they're like, I see you have no experience.
You're like, well, I drink, so.
Yeah. And I don't even know if I was really old enough to start bartending.
I think you are, though, when you're 18 in Iowa. Yeah.
So I said, and they're like, but we do have a cook's position available. And I go, oh, okay. And I don't have any experience for that. Did you know that one? I drink a lot more than I eat right now.
I'm in college.
Yeah. So anyways, they're like, oh, we'll train you. And I said, okay. It was a job. It was, paid fine. It was there.
Yeah.
It was great. We're going to go there. So I accepted the position. It's still in Okoboji.
What's the place called?
It's called Smokin' Jake's.
Smokin' Jake's.
Every time we go back to Okoboji, Carl and I usually try to have a getaway or just go have a drink there. I don't think the owners would even recognize me or know me, but
same owners and everything yet? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
So they were like early.
They were younger.
They were early in their business. No, they started it when they were older.
Oh.
But they started, it was probably, I don't know, maybe less than 5 years old by the time I went there. And they trained me, and I learned from the owner, and she was very real, but I wouldn't say she wasn't like the coddling type or whatever. It was like, because they were a smokehouse, and so I remember the first time that they were like, okay, well, we smoke our ribs and we do this, and they had a big old kitchen in the back. But the actual kitchen to cook the food was this little tiny closet. And it still is big today. To the point where you couldn't fit more than 2 people in that kitchen. But there would be 300 and 400 people that would come in a night, and you would get that much food out. It was so efficient that I'm like, this is like crazy. And it to the point where now I look back and realize that was amazing. But yeah, it was kind of crazy and how
that was your first experience. So like when you were there, is that what kind of gave you the bug of, oh, I kind of think I could make a profession out of this? Or
so I liked the atmosphere. I liked the high paced environment. Yes. Yeah. And then even though it can be kind of stressful, it was more like, everybody was having fun, laid back, kind of felt good. It was like a pat on the back every time. Oh, it was good. Thank you. Or best experience that we've had, or what a great meal. So it was like little compliments each time. Mm-hmm. Kind of. And then I went back, and obviously it was in Okoboji, so I went back to Iowa State. And I had changed my major.
What was your first major?
I started as graphic arts.
Okay.
Because I thought I liked to draw. And I say that because I realized once I got into college and you actually had to take drawing classes that I was a horrible drawer.
Not easy. No.
And then I only like to design things. I wanted to do notepads and t-shirts. And my drawing consists of cartoon characters. Hey, maybe it'd be fun to be a comic artist or whatever. So there was a lot more drawing, real life drawing and
using different mediums. Yeah, and you're I can't just use paper.
Perspective and stuff like that. And that was not my forte. I was better with the abstract, can't you see it?
Can you see
and
that?
Then the meaning behind it. I could make anything mean whatever I said it was. But yeah, so I went from graphic design and then I switched to advertising because in graphic design, you have to go through this big review at the end of the year. So you're going a whole year doing all this stuff, and then you have a review process where they only accept, I don't even remember, I don't remember if it was 40 or 60 people. Anyways, I was not getting in with those drawings that I drew. Yeah. Anyways, so I did not get accepted. And so I'm I'd heard that sometimes you can retry. And at that point I was kind of I don't think I even really want to do this. So I went to advertising and I was I can, sure. This is more the print and the trying to not really sell people something, but I was maybe I could do the advertising and design the ads and all this other stuff. And realized that's not for me either. After I took a semester of those classes. The good thing is I was taking general classes to
go
help with
anything.
Everything. Yeah.
Sure.
And then I think I realized sometime in that middle of sophomore year of college that I was I don't know if I want to be at college. Maybe I'm going to do this. Maybe I should take a year off. One of those what do I want to be?
Crisis.
Yeah. Yep. What do I want to do when I grow up? I think my mom just said something what's going to make you happy? What do you want to do that will make you happy? And so, getting off and kind of finding, okay, Stacey, get it together. What's going to make you happy? And so I realized that the job that I had liked the best, and a job that, hey, that didn't really seem like work, even though I was working 12 and 13 hours, was my job at Smokin' Jake's. So anyways, I realized that there was a hotel, restaurant, and institution management course at Iowa State. And so then I started taking those classes. And then that's kind of how you got interested. Yeah.
And did you like the more food part of it, or did you like more the management part of it?
The food part.
The food part.
Yeah. I think, I know this sounds strange, but when I was growing up in Spencer, I didn't know that being a chef was a career. So, I mean, I wasn't exposed to it because there's a bunch of like mom and pop restaurants and there's like steakhouses and stuff like that. So it wasn't like, oh, do you know this person is a chef? And I mean,
and this is the kind of food that they make. And
right.
Yeah, it's just different in a smaller community than a bigger city.
And there wasn't like I mean, I'm sure Food Network was maybe on, but if it was, I wasn't around it. And it was I don't know. It just wasn't around my atmosphere as much to influence me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when you got to college, did you start to see like more of those other opportunities? Like, I can be a chef in this situation. I can be a chef in this situation. And
so then the good thing with the hotel restaurant management is that it goes, your classes and your course load is hotels. You take some law classes, like hospitality law. You take some food safe, like so you can get certified to be food safe. Sorry, and then you take a class that you get to like basically run a restaurant. It's like a student-ran restaurant, which is called Tea Room, which all the dietitians had to take.
They do,
which you could tell which ones were the dietitians because they just dreaded that class all the time.
I hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm. And then once we got through it, we actually ended up taking, my senior year, took a fine dining class. So it was basically like Tea Room.
Notched up.
Yes. Yeah. That we planned events and we did themes for it and did the food was part of the theme, and we just kind of planned the whole thing with teams of stuff. So
I think I guess I think about, there's chef school and there's that kind of school. And I feel like you get more of like the business perspective too. And like, if you did run a business or if you worked in a hospitality area, do you kind of feel like that's if you're more of wanting to do a business / cooking or whatever, do you think that's the kind of way to go? I think, I was going to say, I think it takes the right person.
Me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I grew up and I liked cooking, so let's try to do that. So instead of just taking 2 years of just going to culinary school, I think it worked for me because there was, again, the more projects of, okay, well, now I'm going to learn management as well. And that can be for whatever you do. Mm-hmm. And then just some business classes, which I wish I would have taken more. But it was just a lot of fun out of the box.
You didn't feel like it was school?
No.
Really?
No. Yeah. I mean, and the people that I went to school with, we worked hard and we played very hard. So, I mean, it wasn't, I didn't feel like, oh man, I have to study and I have to do this. It was, it was just kind of nice.
It was what your calling was. Right. And you met your husband there too.
Right. He was we worked at the Broiler, and I started that. My first summer that I stayed in Ames, for the summer, it's always
during school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since I changed majors, this was the third major, I was like, well, I'm going to get out in 4 years because I'm, paying for this, and student loans are awful. I mean, I felt like I was financially, like, at least a little bit smart, knowing that 5 years, that's a lot more money. Yeah, and I'm already taking out a lot. So I stayed down and I took, I think, 3 classes in the summer. All the ones that, like, you don't want to take, like statistics and economics, and they sound horrible, but I don't know if somebody said that, they're easier in the summer. Anyways, I wouldn't say they're easier, but it was more manageable because you didn't have all the course load in. Mm-hmm. So I found a job at the Broiler Steakhouse, and I started working in their kitchen, and I did some catering with them because they had like a grill, and I mean, there's some crazy things that they did for I wouldn't say mom and pop restaurant, but it was a nice steakhouse that people would come to, and yeah.
And that's where you met him.
And that's where I met Carl.
Was he working there too?
He was a server / bartender.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
and we didn't like each other at all, and we clashed.
That's interesting, because you could have never met him.
I know.
If your mom didn't say, what makes you happy?
Yeah.
Thanks,
If I wasn't in the right major.
Yeah.
If I wasn't at Iowa State, if I didn't, whatever.
It's all...
The stars aligned, and who knew I was going to meet this wonderful ginger? So, yeah.
We're totally calling him out on the podcast. It's great. I love it. So you had a summer of fantasticness, meeting a new person and working again in another facility. And so you felt like you were liking the kitchen and cooking and that type of stuff. So when you got done with school, I guess I feel like, is that like a difficult thing to kind of pioneer after you get done with school? Like, how do you choose a place? Yeah. Like, how do you choose a place to go work at when you're a chef or when you're interested in working with food?
So I didn't know what I wanted to do because, again, I'm graduating with hotel restaurant. Yeah. All I've done is be in a kitchen.
But you have this really fancy degree.
Right. Sounds official. So a bunch of people came, to certain classes and, you have this opportunity and you have this opportunity. And I remember Marriott coming, and they had this great program at the time that was called your management development program. And you interviewed with them, and then I realized, hey, I've only been in the kitchen. Let's try this hotel aspect because, I don't know, maybe that's my calling. I realized that was not my calling either. But yeah, I ended up getting accepted for the front desk management development program. That was not my calling. Front desk is hard work, and it's
dealing with a lot of people.
Dealing with a lot of people while they're traveling.
So they're
business
crabby
clients.
already.
Yeah. So I didn't know that I was supposed to just be a venting post. And I knew I was too young to realize that they weren't upset with me. They were upset with the situation, and I internalized it. It's my fault. Now I think I think I could do the job, but it just was not that. So luckily I had talked to, I don't remember if it was our banquet chef at the time, and I had gotten a part-time job while I was working at the front desk at Greenbrier, and ended up working on the line just to kind of get in to the kitchen again, because that was where, that's where I was happy. So, okay, this is where I'm getting my money and my benefits and broadening my horizons, and then I'm going to have this fun job. And so then they're like, "Oh, you cook, Stacey?" And I said, "Yeah. I've been in kitchens for that time. I thought was for a while, but now looking back, now it's been a while." I said, "Yeah, I've been in a couple kitchens and done this," and list all my. And so then they're like, "Well, we're hiring. We need people." And so I went up there as a supervisor, and then left went up to the kitchen, and then, so I did everything from banquets to cooking on the line to...
At the hotel.
Yeah. Room service is what we did.
Sure.
All kinds of stuff.
And you enjoyed that much more than the other way. Yes.
It was good. It was fun. That one, I worked a ton of hours. So, I just knew that it doesn't matter how much you work if you like your job. Sometimes it doesn't, feel like work. But there is an extent that I found out.
What you can tolerate.
Yeah, there is a breaking point where you work too much and then you don't have the life outside of it. So,
is being a chef, is that very common with being a chef or being in a kitchen? Long hours.
Yes.
Getting kind of taken advantage of when it comes to being a good employee.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that all the great chefs do work a ton of hours, and that is they're great at what they do because they are wholeheartedly in, Unfortunately, sometimes the family aspect gets kind of taken second best or, a backseat to your career. And it takes a very strong person to do that. And I just knew working that many hours that wasn't my focus as much as I love cooking, as much as I loved it at the time. And even with Carl being in the restaurant industry, I knew that was not what I wanted to aspire to be.
That's and I think you have to take that into consideration when you do go into that field.
Right.
Like, you have to be able to say, I'm either going to be all in or I'm going to find what works with my home schedule, family, personal life.
Because at one point at Marriott, I was like, well, maybe I should go if I want to be a chef, and like know internally that I am a true chef and I'm not just like a cook, because there is a big difference, that I'm going to go to culinary school. And I went and realized that, you know what, I don't think I want to put in the hours that it takes to be that great chef. So that's kind of why I say that, Iowa State was good for me, because if I just would have went to culinary school, even though all my background is in, I don't think I would have gotten all the
you probably
management
liked it as
and
much.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably would have been like, well, this isn't for me either.
Yeah.
Well, that's good that you realize that. And I think it's good to make the point that you don't have to do one or the other. I mean, like, you don't have to go to culinary school. There's other opportunities for people that want to go into cooking. And like you said, when you talk about being a chef and being a cook, I guess I think of there's a lot of us dietitians out there that cook and share recipes. And I guess I don't feel like I'm an expert in any of that. So I don't do a lot of sharing of that, even though you inspire me to be a better cook. But I guess maybe talk about the difference of, when you think about a chef versus a cook versus, a love for just food.
The passion or the foodie. Well, and this is just my opinion, because everybody will have their own opinions about being a chef or being a cook, or there's a lot of people that go to culinary school and they went to culinary school, so they're a chef. And just like I came out of Iowa State thinking, well, I went to college, now I should be in management, and realize that, you still have to kind of work your way up. So my thoughts for being a chef is somebody that manages other cooks or other chefs, people that are getting the food out, the organization, taking a leadership role, almost being that front line for either the servers or management, or taking the fall when maybe your team is not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Gotcha.
And so organizing and doing the grunt work, as opposed to just coming in and cooking.
Okay. That makes sense, though.
Yep.
Because that's a pretty important role that people don't think about.
Right. And then cooking, I mean,
we can all attempt
we all cook. And a cook, a line cook is somebody that cooks your food to perfection, or hopefully to perfection each time, and that's their job, and they get paid to do it, and that's where they're hired to do. But they don't take the initiative. They,
they aspire. They're doing the food part.
They're trained. They do what they need to do. And whether those cooks turn into chefs or whether those cooks just turn into a paycheck is a different thing. So
interesting. And I guess I don't think about that when I go out to dinner, or when someone's saying they're preparing food for you, because you just think it's a chef.
Right.
And it's like, well, a chef is a chef, but there's actually someone probably temping your food and plating your food and doing it differently.
I feel like with the foodie culture around, I feel like a lot of people are called chefs, and I still don't consider myself a chef.
I call you Chef Stacey all the time.
I know. I mean, I do teach people and stuff like that, but I know that it's very, in the restaurant and business and cooking and stuff like that it's very...
There's a difference.
Yeah, it's very kind of a scary term that people say, oh, you're a chef. Tell me where you went to culinary school. Tell me this, tell me this, tell me this.
Yeah.
So yes.
And that's, I think our, like you said too, like you in college, you cross paths with dietitians.
Correct.
In the same classes, and how you could tell there's a difference.
Yes.
And I think there's a difference between just people.
They were more organized. I will say that.
They're more type A personalities, where chefs are probably, cooks are probably a little bit more easygoing.
Yep.
But I think when I think about our profession and your profession, just how they cross paths, like they do cross paths, but I feel like just if I take one class with you doesn't make me an expert in food or how that all gets put together. Or
I feel like, all the social media and like the Food Network, and I feel like food is everywhere. And I mean, go to a restaurant and you take a picture and then everybody critiques it, or, oh, that looks wonderful, or that looks horrible, or I can do better. And I mean, just the age of social media has kind of made everybody into foodies, that it's like that then, even though you have no background or know anything about restaurants, that it's maybe, oh, I can do that because it doesn't look that hard.
And I know better.
Right.
I know better.
And it takes more than just a tasting and, eating food to be, I don't know, I guess a true critic.
There's so much more to being what you do. And I think that's what, and again, this is my opinion as a dietitian, that I rely on you to help me when it comes to preparing a recipe or cooking something or developing a menu, because I know the nutrition part, but I don't know all those other logistics. I don't ever try to claim that I do. Obviously, you can tell by my food and my recipes, but I think that it's important for dietitians to rely on experts like you to help them develop menus and food and recipes. And I
don't claim to know everything either, because I like to learn as much. Yeah, I don't tell my children that, but I don't claim to know everything, because I'm still learning, and there's new things that come out, and there's new trends, and there's new ways to cook, and all the other.
We did a sous vide recipe together.
Right.
Yeah. So always learning.
Yeah. This is great and amazing. Why does anybody use it in a house? So anyways.
And I guess, like, I think about, you've done like the management part, you've done the hospitality, you've done the restaurant part. And so now you've kind of realized, I think I want to do some different parts. So what about cooking, and what about your kind of future with your profession? What do you see being fun about food and working with food and fun for you?
So the more I grow up and the more I do, learn new things, I realize that my favorite and my passion is to teach people how to cook. I feel like cooking is such a art form that is dying because, again, of our culture, that you can go to every restaurant. How many restaurants are out there?
So many.
That it's just easier for somebody else to cook if I don't know what I'm doing.
Like me.
So my passion is to teach people how to cook and realize that, it doesn't have to be that hard, and it actually can be pretty simple, and it can be fun. I know not everybody thinks it's fun. So my job or my mission or passion would be to show that people can do it at home. It can be simple, and you can have fun.
And it can be delicious.
And it can be delicious. And it can be usually more nutritious if you do it at home. Mm-hmm. And you can save a couple dollars because you're not paying somebody else to cook your food for you. Mm-hmm. So anyways, yeah.
More budget friendly. And it can be fancy, but again,
it can be
like
fancy.
Simple. Like, yes. I feel like when you put something together, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is gorgeous and amazing. You're like, oh, it's just this, and this. And it's like, I would have never thought of that.
Well, and that's what, when I do like wine dinners or beer dinners or stuff like that, they always look really fancy. Or that's what people tell me.
They do.
That they look really nice. But there's simple ingredients and simple ways of doing things that you can actually mimic and do at home. But yeah, doing doing it easier, doing it simpler, or maybe even it's like putting the love in and putting the time in it to make it, what it can be. Making a pork roast, a pork butt that people usually shred and stuff like that, making it into something delicious. The people are like, oh my gosh, this is probably like too hard for me. I'm like, I know.
You can do this.
You can do this. I'll give you the exact recipe and you can impress your friends because it doesn't have to be that hard. And there are some, French cuisines and all these other types of cooking. That's just not my style that I do because I would like to. I mean, I have 4 kids, so it's not like
Yes.
It's not like I have a ton of time. So yeah.
And you get your kids involved. Like that's something that you want people cooking. You like people cooking with you.
Yeah. Which, when are we going to drink and bake? That seems like a fun idea.
We can always do that.
Yeah. But the kids, I mean, I make the kitchen like a fun party atmosphere. So we put on music and I tell them that there's only love in the kitchen. So if they're fighting with each other or somebody wants to put in the sugar or the eggs or and they start to squabble, then they have to go outside of the kitchen because we don't want to contaminate the recipe. And then they come back when they have love, because you can tell when somebody is
absolutely
having fun, or you can tell when somebody's like, this is so much work. I'm just putting and throwing something together. And you're like, oh,
okay.
How did you do it? And then you're like, well, I could use that same recipe and it could come out a lot better. So yeah, just teaching the kids how to cook and to appreciate, the ingredients that we're putting into.
And knowing them.
Yes. Because they like to bake a lot more because they get to lick the batter.
Yeah. Just like you when you were younger.
Yeah. But
sugar is delicious.
Yes. But Cyril will end up like cooking with me and doing, because he likes to chop. So he likes to use the knife and teaching him how to not cut his fingers off. And
so important.
Those small little goals of cooking.
I like that your passion is teaching, because I think everybody needs that in the kitchen. Kids, adults,
right? Your
friends. I mean, everybody, because we just don't know. And even though we think we know. So I think that's a very important message for people to, if you know someone, if you have somebody that has that passion, to tap into them.
Yeah. Well, and it can be fun, and it can be like a get together, and hey, instead of, going out to the bars, you can come over and cook, and then guess what?
Drink while you cook.
Yeah, you can have a meal tomorrow, or, I like to cook, so it's very soothing, and it's very like calming to like dice vegetables or to just make something.
I think you can cut all my onions forever.
I will.
Now, this is a hot topic that I guess you probably see on social media too, meal prepping. Is that something that you do a lot of?
I can't say I'm a meal prepper, but I like to pre-dice my vegetables, and I like to I don't even know what you call it, but when I grocery shop, I like to come home and then so I get cauliflower and I dice all the cauliflower and the broccoli and, chop up the carrot sticks and celery sticks. And that's kind of twofold because the kids have them when they get home, and it's easy here. They're cut because nobody eats them if they're not cut. But the other way is then I already have carrots that if I'm going to dice them, I already have them almost the way done. But then if I'm I cook up ground beef or cook up chicken, and then I usually end up making it into a couple different dishes.
So you kind of half meal prep. You're kind of doing like the heavyweight type stuff, and then you're putting things together during the week.
Yeah. I meal plan.
That's good.
I meal plan, and then I do some, some of the nitty gritty dicing, and I love potatoes and sweet potatoes and all those, and I make like a hash basically a lot of times for my lunch. So I will cut up a bunch of potatoes or the peppers or the onions and roast those all together. Oh. So then all I have to do is
cook up your egg and your kale.
But I'm not a huge fan of just reheating everything throughout the week, because I realize once I cook something, the excitement is gone. And so, or at least for me. And so I'll be like, oh, I don't think that's still going to be there on Friday when I have the chicken and sweet potatoes and broccoli, which I just have to put in the microwave, because then I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like that. You know, the excitement was when I was putting it together.
Huh.
I think
that's interesting, because I guess I would kind of feel the same way. Yeah. I don't love to cook, but I guess I feel like it tastes better when it's more like fresher.
Newer.
Or like you put
you haven't been staring at it all week. So and I like to eat. I mean, I feel like I have lots of cravings almost, like, oh,
this sounds
so
good.
If I've seen chicken breasts all week, or I, just cooked up 5 pounds of chicken breasts for all week, I don't think I would crave that, and then I would probably just go out to eat, or something unhealthy. So it just doesn't work for me. And I feel like I taste it, when I cook it. So therefore, if I've had a taste, sometimes that's good enough for me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's an interesting point about meal prepping, though, because I'm not a big leftover person, and I like having certain things done, like the cutting and the meat and stuff, but there is something about making kind of a fresher dish that's different than what you've had.
Or even the night before, like, oh, I'm going to take this to work. Or,
sure. Yeah. Like that's the extent of my meal prep. That works.
Yeah. I've got ground beef, and I've got some potatoes, and I've got these extra vegetables, or, the vegetables that are turning and you're going to throw them away. Sure. So throw it all in.
Yeah. Make something.
That's kind of what
make a hash. Make a Stacey hash.
Yep.
So in between all of your 4 children, her husband owns a restaurant too.
Correct.
So he's very busy managing that. She's also decided, which I'd love to talk to you about, her and I have kind of set some same intentions this year. She inspired my intention for this year of doing things scared and be scared. So you've decided that you are going to do a half Ironman this year.
So
holy shit.
So I'm going to do the half Ironman in Benton Harbor, Michigan in August, around the kids' birthday. And I say that because I have 3 of the 4 children. Their birthdays are in 2 days. Yeah, all within 2 days. So we always go on a little trip around their birthday anyway. So I figure, why not? I realized that somewhere between the 4 children and in momhood and being married and, all that, everything, that sometimes you just don't have as many goals as you used to. Like in college, you had a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal, a 20-year goal even.
You had goals.
And and now, I mean, probably the past year or 2 years, it was like, well, what are my goals? I don't even know if get through today. There was a lot of those goals. And then I realized that, I need to do stuff for myself and my health and take care of myself. Because you want to teach your kids, yes, they're important, but I'm important too. And if I'm not taking care of myself, then
how can you take care of them?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my revelation the past, year-ish or 6 months. And then it was just, with New Year's coming around, it was like, oh, okay, I'm going to get scared and I'm going to do something scary. And it was either I'm going to do something scary, like business related, or I'm going to do something scary, fitness related. And so I just took the leap, and
you decided
now I'm training. Yeah.
How did you decide on a half Iron? I mean, I know you've done triathlons before. You've done sprints and full triathlons.
And I've done marathons and half marathons.
You've done that, yes.
So in my head, the progression was, so I've done, you get into the sports and you do things that are out of your comfort zone, but still comfortable. So it does technically kind of fit into the progression. It's been a long time since I've been in a sport of either the triathlon or running, or the commitment of, doing something bigger than just going to the
Gym.
Just going to the gym and working out. So I did, like a 5K. I started running and did a 5K and did the couch to 5K.
Such a good place
Man, that was hard. Yeah, that was hard. And so it was like the excitement. So I got excited and I was pushed to do that. Well, now I did a 5K. So now I have to do a, half marathon. I don't even think
You didn't even do a 10K.
I don't even think I did a 10K because there wasn't a lot of 10Ks around
a lot,
here.
Yeah.
So then I did a half marathon and then ended up getting into triathlons and went from the sprint to the Olympic triathlons. And then...
While you were having babies.
Right.
This is all mid-baby having.
Yeah. And then, life happens and time gets away from you. And so then I would do half marathons, and that was kind of my thing for a while, was every year, me and a couple of my girlfriends would get together and we would meet
in
somewhere.
A cool city.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like our girls' trip, and we would girls' weekend, and it was kind of our way of getting away, but doing something fitness related. And everybody still tells me that you can get away without running 13 miles. And I'm like, well, I know, but at least I'm doing something. So the past couple, half marathons, the newness wore off, the excitement wore off. And so it was, I don't even remember, but I did the Chicago Marathon in that midst of it. Mm-hmm. And that was horrible and an awful experience. And I never came out of there with that marathon high. It was more like, I did it. Check that one off. Yeah.
Check.
Yep. So that's I think that's how we kind of got into the half marathons and meeting up and, that's manageable, but still uncomfortable enough.
Sure.
But it got to the point where I knew I could do it. Not well sometimes, and sometimes there would be more walking than running, or more aches and pains than probably should have happened. But it was just getting too uncomfortable. So even though I haven't done a triathlon for 5-ish plus years, that I needed something to scare me to get back to taking care of myself and working out and kind of showing myself that I can do it and get out of my brain, and I should say get into my head and realize that I can be stronger than that voice in the back of your head,
That's awesome. So that's your training.
So I'm training.
In between falling and hurting yourself with some ice, but you're back on it.
Correct.
You're getting healthy.
And I'm being more real with myself this time.
With your training or with the goals for the Half Ironman or both?
I guess I'm being more real with my goals and being more forgiving of myself, because it used to always be okay, this is what you need to do, and you are on a plan, and you stick to that plan. And then if it doesn't happen, you catch up or you do something else. And so I realized that life does happen, and just getting in quality workouts is sometimes better than quantity and hurry up and get it out of the way. Or if I do need to rest, or if I do need to take care of myself, then I'm actually learning to do that instead of stressing out about it. And if the workout didn't happen, okay, how can I change it? Where can we go from there? As opposed to stressing out about, oh my gosh, now I have to do 2 swim workouts this week and 3 run workouts and stuff like that. Because then it just piles up, and then you overwhelm yourself in your head and realize
I can't do it. Or you feel like you can't do it. Or
And I just take a nap at that point and don't get anything done.
I'm going to have a cookie and a nap.
Yeah. Yep. And then this time, nutritionally, I'm doing a lot better, because just where I came from with growing and realizing that, obviously, our relationship with food and teaching others, that you realize, oh, okay, 6 years ago, my pre-workout was a Casey's pizza and a Coca-Cola. So anyways, that's not going to be this time. And that's not even in my realm of, okay, my training plan. And so I'm not being strict, on the nutrition, but it's just realizing that I am there nutritionally and feeding what I need to do through my workouts.
Yeah. And I think that's a good message, because I think you can still do something that, like, you can do a half marathon, but you don't have to be so hard on your training schedule. You don't have to be so stringent on your nutrition.
Right.
And you can still manage life and be happy.
Correct.
And be gentle on yourself. Yeah.
We're trying the balance thing.
Yeah. Well, and I was along with you for the ride when you were training for the other things, and I can tell how much different you are now in your mindset. And you're like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be good. And that's why I think I was like, I'm going to do Stuff Scared this year too, because if Stacey can do a half Ironman and raise 4 children and have a husband who's gone all out with a restaurant, I can do it too, damn it. So you're
Get
inspiring.
scared.
Get scared. Get scared this year. Do something that scares the shit out of you. It's perfect.
Yes.
I think that's, and just for my listeners, Stacey and I do work together, but we're also friends, and we have these realistic conversations about just life and nutrition and food and exercise. And I know it's always in our brains all the time. Right. And we have our moments where we're like, oh man, you should have seen what I ate last night. Yeah.
But it's even about the forgiving, and this has been like a very recent, almost mind shift change that I'm trying to teach myself that would I say this stuff to my daughter? Mm-hmm. Would I, yell at her, if she ate a donut? No. Why am I beating myself up for eating a donut? Because it was good and I wanted it. And at the time it sounded great.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's the whole mind shift and balance
And I think we've talked about this too. Like, I think that's important, but also I think we have started to realize how food affects how we feel too. So the donut, I wanted it at that time and it was delicious. But then maybe another time it's like, oh, I don't feel very good. Right. And now my energy levels are down.
That was not what I needed. That was not what I should have chosen.
So having that mind shift of, okay, I need to fuel myself versus, you know what? I want something delicious.
Because I've even realized with the training too, that because I'm eating better, I want to work out in the afternoon. At times that I would be like, oh, well, I missed the morning workout, so therefore I ended up eating bad, or whatever that means, to you. Mm-hmm. And then you feel like crap, and then you just want to take a nap in the afternoon. But instead it's like, oh, well, I made good choices at lunchtime, and instead of having something that makes me feel bloated or run to the bathroom, tired, that you're like, oh man, I just fueled my body, and now I kind of feel like going for a run.
I want to run.
I want to run 3 miles, so I did, in jeans.
She did. I still can't believe you ran in jeans. That's insane.
So, it works out.
You felt that way, though. Yeah. You were compelled.
It's how food works. It's whether you're feeling it or...
Mm-hmm. And you probably pay more attention to it when you are probably have a goal of something like your half Ironman that, oh yeah, this is a food that really makes me feel good. I should eat more of that. And I think it's awesome. You have to tell my listeners too how you do your runs with your kids.
So again, it's a whole mind shift change. So even a year ago, if they would come down in the middle of the morning and I was working out, I would get so frustrated because I wasn't ready to be a mom yet. And this was my, my time and me time, and I was doing my workout. But I realized that that's not going to happen trying to train for this half Ironman, and I need to be ready. So they get on their bikes, and I have Finley, our little 1-year-old, that she gets in the jogging stroller, and we just go, and I run, and they bike. And luckily it's getting nicer and nicer each, week and stuff like that. The funny thing is I can tell that they're getting stronger, because they don't get out as much as in the winter and get to run around and bike and all this other stuff. So when we go up hills, I feel like we're kind of training together because now I'm getting faster and they're getting faster. And So by the summer, they'll just probably leave me in their dust. But for right now, it's working out.
And I think that's going to make them so excited to be there with you at your event too. Right. And they're going to understand the work that you put into it.
And I felt like that's going to like help my mental game too. Yeah. And be like, remember that I was like running with them instead of like, dragging and
irritated.
Right. Frustrated and, all those mind games that you play with yourself, saying you can't do it. So
they can help you be less scared.
Yes.
To do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Such a good message. So we'll have to do a follow-up little mini episode post Half Ironman in August.
Yep.
And we'll see what you have to say about that.
Hopefully I'm still moving.
I feel like I need to go and be there because I think that'd be so exciting.
Gonna be all party.
And
family's going.
Just for reference, your whole family's going, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And her husband's done a full Ironman.
He's done a full Ironman. So he's done 2 full Ironmans. And actually, that's kind of how it kind of happened. Is he ended up getting sick this year with his basically it hurt his lungs and what was it called?
Was it histoplasmosis?
Histoplasmosis, yeah. So he had acute histoplasmosis that ended up being hospitalized for about 5 days. And it really hurt his breathing. And he's kind of a long freak of nature that can just not run for 6...
He's like Forrest Gump.
6 months, and then just go out and run a marathon. So his goal, and I was even telling this, to people in the summer that, and he's going to he's going to get back into doing an Ironman. And he was going to do, I think, Boulder, Colorado this year. We were going to do our little trip and all this other stuff. And then it was in the hospital that I was like, maybe this should take a back seat because he was getting winded walking a block. Mm-hmm. And so just getting back into everything. And then he tried to, run home from school and he's like, Stacey, I couldn't even run like a half a mile. And I said, well, welcome to the club. That's what most
now
people,
how that feels.
Yeah. So anyways, then I was like, well, I think I've always wanted to do a half Ironman. I'm not getting any younger. So hopefully that was a good idea. So he kind of stepped back and I went full force, and so he'll do his next year.
Yeah, I
think he's going to do a marathon.
Is he? Yeah.
Because that's manageable for him.
Sure. A lot more now.
Yeah. Yes. He's feeling way better right now. So
that's good.
Anyways.
All right. Post Half Ironman, we'll have a little chat.
Yep. I can talk about my nutrition because I'm sure that will be part of it.
Oh, so. You can tell us all the fabulous things you eat after the Half Ironman.
Well, no, fueling between it because it's,
so different.
7 to 8 hours of just working out. So then I just need to, mentally get that I'm going to work out for 8 hours.
In a row.
Without stopping.
You're going to be fantastic.
Yep.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, again, to be continued with our conversation at a different time, but I do have some fun questions for you. I do want to know, though, what is your favorite recipe? Do you have a recipe that you love to make for your family or for yourself and eat it in the closet? Or
Well, right now my favorite is kringla.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not, I just feel like I've been making it so much because my daughter loves it and my children love it, and it's simple. For anybody that doesn't know what it is, it's kringla is like a pastry, basically. Norwegian, or I guess some people said it's Swedish, so I don't know where it exactly came from, but yeah. It's made with, butter and sugar, and I ended up putting Greek yogurt in it.
Which was doing the Greek yogurt?
Yeah. Which we realized that was the best product.
The key ingredient.
Yeah. With some buttermilk, and there's a technique and a knack to it, and it's just kind of fun and therapeutic if you're in that right state of mind. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Otherwise I feel like the hash is my go-to savory dish right now, which is like potatoes, and then depending if I'm having it for breakfast or for lunch. So if it's for breakfast, I have like kale and eggs and mushrooms.
Stacey loves kale.
I love kale and eggs. And then like has some onions and mushrooms in it. If I'm doing it for lunch, it's usually like a cheeseburger-ish. So it's so then I put hamburger, like ground beef, and then the potatoes are sweet potatoes. And then I like mushrooms and onions, so that goes in there.
Oh, yeah.
And put ketchup and mustard on it.
Yum. Mm-hmm. It's fun. Easy.
Yeah.
See, there's some meal prep ideas for you. Right there. Do you have a favorite food that you like? I mean, minus a recipe, but do you have like a food that is your favorite?
I don't think so. No. I mean, I eat a lot of different. I don't think I could.
You have a huge palette.
Yeah,
of food,
I do get in like, I wouldn't say food ruts, but things that just my go-to items. I mean, if like we even talk to our kids about, you know, like if you could have one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I always say mine would be tacos because, you know, there's so much you could do with that. Tacos or nachos or
different types of tacos.
Taco salad. Love taco salad with little crushed up Doritos.
There's something about that crunch.
I know.
On the salad.
Yes. So I mean, if I had to say my favorite food would probably be tacos.
You could put your hash in your tacos.
I know.
Yeah. Yep. That would be good too.
There we go.
There you
put
go.
some beans in there.
Put some beans in there. Do you have a favorite beverage?
Right now it's water. Yeah. Or actually my favorite would be, so I can't get enough of the Tazo wild sweet orange tea.
It's delicious.
And so I have that every morning, and I put one little packet in my big old cup, and then my cup is so big that I end up putting my green tea packet in there too. So it's like
mix it up.
The health benefits of the green tea and my wild sweet orange.
The best part about that is that when we met, you thought tea was disgusting.
Right. But that's why I say that, like, your tastes evolve. And so I always knew, well, you always told me tea had great benefits. So then that's when I usually try to, like, make myself like something. And I think it took about 7 years for me to develop and like because at the beginning it was like, oh, it's just dirty water, and I still don't like iced tea.
Sure. Well, there's some gross tea out there,
but I really do like. Yeah, I do like hot tea.
You found your combination that you like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite scent?
Well, my favorite scent would be like freshly baked. Something. No, but like, you know, like, did you ever have when you would be woke up
from
something cooking that you're like, oh, what is that?
Yes.
And sometimes my kids even do. They're like, Mom, I smell cinnamon rolls. And I mean, that's the first thing that they say. So like, you know, cinnamon rolls or fresh baked bread.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I won't even say cookies. It's usually like bread or like cinnamon rolls.
And I love how the scent will stay in your house for a while, so you can still smell it like 3 hours later.
It lingers on. And
yes.
Do you have a candle? No.
Nope. Just making some bread.
It was breakfast. So yeah.
They need to make that into a candle if that could be possible. Yep. It wouldn't, though. It wouldn't be as good, though. What's your favorite color?
Black.
That's a good color.
I mean, that's what I don't know. I don't think I really even have just completely in black. I don't, you know, I've never thought that as like, obviously it is a color, but that's all I wear. Mm-hmm. So that's what first came to my mind.
I like black. Yeah. I'm right there with you, girl. Right. We're like Johnny Cash.
Yeah, but I'm an equal opportunity employer for all the colors, and I like them. I just don't wear them. And I like pink.
I like flashes of color.
Yeah, I like bright pink and like bright green.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't wear them.
It's not your main staple. We always have a little splash of color somewhere.
Right. Yes.
We're a little, we're a black.
Yep.
Black Lakers.
Yep.
What brings you joy in life?
Oh, probably my family. I shouldn't say probably. It is my family. If they're listening, sorry. It is my family. They know, they can say the funniest things, and they're always there. And I mean, even just my kids and my husband and my sisters and my mom and dad, we have a pretty close knit family. So I would say family. You do. Yeah. And then, I mean, exercising brings me joy and as well. That's good. Because I realize, that sometimes, man, I had a bad day, and even some of my neighbors were like, "Oh, I saw you running." I was like, "Oh, well, that was kind of like a stressed out run," but I started smiling when I was running, and it's all okay. So, anyways, that's good that you can say that. Yeah. Because then I think always too, sometimes that there are people that can't exercise, right. So we really should be happy that we can do that. That's a good joy. Right. And your family's a good joy too. Yeah. And I love food. I mean, that always brings joy, but I try not to, have it be your only joy. Right. Mm-hmm. Put less emphasis on, eating because it brings joy. It's more the atmosphere that, food can bring. Food can bring together. Yeah, the people. Family, the people, the conversation. Right. Yeah. Come to our office sometime. We have some great conversations about food. Yes. Well, thank you, my dear. I'll let you get on with your day. But yes, I think, first of all, I think we should do a video of you making Kringla sometime because I think that would be so fun and it's delicious. Yeah, but it takes a lot of time, and it might be a really boring video. We could do like a video that we could like condense it. Okay. So we might do that. Yeah. And you can see us having cocktails while we're doing it. And then we'll do a follow-up with you after your Half Ironman and watch you kick some ass. I just love Stacey. We always have the best conversations every time we're together. I admire her for everything she does, but I am also very grateful for how she really views cooking. She loves to help people not be so intimidated by cooking, which I have been, and it's very real and challenging for a lot of people. I look forward to following up with her after her Half Ironman this summer. I know she's going to rock it completely, and there will be more to come from Chef Stacey. My website, annelizabethrd.com, is where you can read my latest weekly wisdom blog post, where I share my current adventures, food I am eating, and the music playlist I specifically create for my fitness. I might also include a really delicious real deal recipe, which means it has minimal ingredients and is easy to do. And I always like to share with you what I'm loving right now. You will find all my previous podcast show notes and links to things we talked about during my conversations. And you can also purchase my book, I'm a Registered Dietitian, Now What?, from the website. Please continue to connect with me on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest at AnnElizabethRD. Remember to be great always, find the joy in each day, and to start a conversation that truly matters.